This is Abbas Thanani. You can follow me on Instagram at Houston Eats with a Z.
I'm David Leftwich, editor of Edible Houston and associate editor at Houston Food Finder.
I'm Eric Sandler, editor for Culture Map.
The Full Menu is a production of Houston Public Media with support from Central Market.
David, I'm glad we're talking about Cajun and Creole this month on the Full Menu for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is just about crawfish season. Like, I'm starting to see crawfish on my feed. I know as soon as New Year's Eve kind of comes and goes, most Houstonians are like, okay, when are the crawfish? When are they coming? And I saw that article on cron.com a couple weeks ago. We expect a much better crawfish season than we had last year. Hopefully they won't be $13 a pound anymore. If we could get that price, I know the days of $5 crawfish are gone. I accept that. But if I could pay $7 or $8 or $9 a pound for crawfish, I'll feel a little better about it.
Yeah, last year it was a tough year for crawfish because it was expensive. It was hard to get because of droughts in 2023, but we've had rain. And I've even seen and confirmed from Lafayette Media as well that we should have a better crawfish season this year. But of course, we're also going to, so we're going to talk something about crawfish, Cajun, Creole.
Yeah, and the other reason I'm excited, Abbas, is because none of our cool Louisiana restaurants got picked for anything in the Michelin Guide. And I thought it was one of the most glaring omissions. We love this. This kind of food is so important to Houstonians, and to not have it recognized at all, I thought that was a major whoops by our friends from France.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think one that really deserves the recognition, and I'm going to go right into it because I know this one's going to get taken real quick. And that's Josephine's.
Yes, we all have Josephine's, but go first, and then we'll. Yeah.
I mean, what Lucas does over there, it's really second to none. You know, he's a Louisiana boy, Mississippi boy. He does a really, really good job at pretty much everything. That redfish on the shell and the smoked redfish dip, all that, just delicious all across the board.
Yeah, that blue crab rice bowl is really good. Everything there is really good. Even the cocktails are good.
Yeah, and even the classic stuff, right? The fried shrimp po' boy is of quality. They do seafood boils. You can get boiled shrimp, you can get boiled crawfish there in season. Yeah, and it's all really excellent. And that Midtown location is tough, and it's a restaurant that every time I'm there, I sort of look around and I'm like, I would like this place to be not so busy that I can't get a table, but a little busier, for the sake of everyone that works there.
Well, I'm going to go down further south to a place called Viola and Agnes down in Seabrook, it's gotten some recognition. Houston actually gotten some national recognition, but it's really kind of classic Cajun Creole soul food, great gumbo. Nola barbecued shrimp and grits, red beans and rice, sausage and smoked Creole stew, and then some good Louisiana fried catfish. So just good all around homey food down in Seabrook.
Yeah, it's a restaurant that got recognized in the New York Times last year for what they're doing. You could say great gumbo, but on behalf of Felice, who's not with us this month, I this is maybe her favorite gumbo in Houston, and it's because the way that Chef Aaron builds the flavors into it. He takes a little bit of, it's like a mixture of yesterday's gumbo and today's gumbo, so the flavors really have a lot of time to meld. And I mean the frying on the catfish, it's crispy, it's moist, it's not muddy tasting, whatever he does to fix that. And then he'll throw up specials. If you follow them on social media, you'll see an oxtail special or a fried chicken special or whatever. And the only thing I would say about Viola and Agnes is it's not a fast dining experience. So just bring a little patience and just accept that everything is made to order. So it's going to take a little while, but it's going to be worth it.
Speaking of national recognition, one that comes to mind is Gatlin's Fins and Feathers. Obviously, Greg Gatlin started with the barbecue spot, and now he's doing his thing out there with this fried chicken, fried seafood concept.
Yeah, great oysters, great fried seafood.
Great biscuits.
Yeah. I'll go a little higher end, just a little more upscale. One place that comes to mind for me is Eunice. Talk about another chef with Louisiana roots, Drake Leonard's. Worked in New Orleans for a long time and then brought that to Houston several years ago. His gumbo is fantastic. That like crawfish étouffée, but it's got both the fried shrimp étouffée rather. It's got the sautéed shrimp and the fried shrimp, so you get that contrast in textures. Or that burrata dish with the caviar. Always something new to try there. I went there once on a date, and they did like a huge ribeye with smothered in crawfish étouffée, and I'm not even sure crawfish étouffée was on the menu, but they hold some stuff back sometimes. But and a terrific raw bar with the shrimp cocktail and the oysters and the crab claws. Just a can't miss, like upscale restaurant.
I feel like this is quickly turning into a gumbo episode as much as anything because it's maybe because it's cold, but a couple other places I was thinking of is Chris Williams, both Lucille and Late August, both do several good dishes, but they both have really good gumbo. The one at Lucille's is the green gumbo, the gumbo herbes, which is lots of like a classic New Orleans recipe with lots of herbs. The one at August is very interesting because it has gumbo, but it's with nopales and chorizo, so it's a mixture. Not already taking this dish that's already a mixture of cultures and adding in some Houston and Mexican American flavors into it, and and that they also there at August also have like a good LA barbecue seafood dish and some other good dishes as well.
Not quite a Cajun restaurant per se, but they've got my favorite shrimp po' boy in town, and that's Winnie's out in Midtown.
I promise you that was also on David's list.
And also good gumbo, too.
Yeah, because Graham Laborde, again, Graham Laborde is from Louisiana. He knows how to make a pot of gumbo. Excellent shrimp po' boy, and all kinds of other fun, creative sandwiches. I feel like we talk about Winnie's on this segment every couple of months. Because it serves so many purposes. It's affordable. It's casual. There's always something new to try. They have oysters. It checks a lot of boxes. Next one for me, as we are getting into crawfish season, naturally my thoughts turn to several places. But on behalf of our friend Danielle Dubois, the Hangry Houstonian, I have to mention Boyle House in the Heights. This is the place that your Louisiana friends won't tell you about because it's the one that reminds them of home the most, and they kind of like to keep it to themselves. But just the quality of the seasoning, the consistency of the crawfish cooking, it's a seasonal restaurant. So they have the crawfish in season, and then when it's over, they kind of pack things up. Or I guess they, maybe they have shrimp or some other stuff, but it's crawfish is when they're busy, and so that means that we're only it's not long before they'll be firing that up and they'll have lines out the door.
Yeah, and it's usually they have a good lemony. One of their ones is a good lemony kind of light spice, and then you can sit outside on the patio, and they have a drive-through. So if you don't want to sit, you want to bring your crawfish home, you can just go through the drive-through. Since we are talking about it, we should probably give a shout out to the classic crawfish and noodles, which, one of the originators of the Viet Cajun crawfish trend. And it's not really a trend, really. It's become like a standard, like a mainstay of Houston cuisine at this point. But also they have some other, they also have some good dishes like salt and pepper blue crab. And then one of my other favorite dishes there, which is kind of also Cajun inspired, is the spicy stewed turkey necks, which are just really good, hearty dish served with baguette.
On the topic of crawfish, this spot I've been going to for years and years. I think it's the same family that did the original Boyle House, and that's La Fisherman. One thing that I think sets La Fisherman apart is they make it literally the spice level to my liking, and most places can't do that, but they definitely nail it there.
the other place that kind of comes to mind as crawfish season gets going is the Crawfish Shack in Crosby. And I know, interloopers, this is a bit of a drive for you, but you'll be pleasantly surprised at it's not as long as you think it is. But this is a huge restaurant, like basically a warehouse with picnic tables. People wait in line, and it's BYOB, so people bring coolers, and they really make a day out of it. And it's just I can't imagine that there's another restaurant anywhere in Houston that's like single location that boils as many pounds. And again, it's another place with a drive-through. So if you don't want that experience, you can drive out there. You can get them to go or whatever. But the dine-in experience at the Crawfish Shack is not to be missed.
Well, and if you want something a little closer with multiple locations, Crawfish Cafe is always a classic, and there's, they've got multiple locations, different spices on their boil, from original to the kicking crawfish. They have a good Thai basil, crawfish empanadas, which are good. And again, they have I think 4 or 5 locations now, so you can get it pretty much anywhere you want and find it anywhere you want in Houston.
Before we end this, I have to mention 2 pop-ups if we're talking about Cajun Creole. First one is Joseph Boudreau. He's more known for his burgers, but whenever he does his Cajun Creole pop-ups, definitely not to be missed. And another one is Chef Dom Lee, who was here, moved away, and now he's back. So those alligator pear Cajun pop-ups, would definitely not miss those.
And often they do them together. They'll collaborate on some very good, interesting pop-ups. Well, I'm just going to go with a classic, and that's Papados. It's a classic, but I do say that they have my favorite thing there is they have very good blackened catfish and red beans and rice. It's, and I think it's gotten better over the years. The last time I went, I was actually, which was fairly recently, very surprised by how good it was. Maybe it's the influence of Little's. I don't know.
Yeah, and that I-10 location, like in the city center area, is where they do a lot of their
that's the
recipe
one
development and testing. So, if you're fortunate enough to live in that part of Houston, you may find that the food at that location is just a little sharper, like just a little tighter than some of the other locations.
That's my go-to.
That's good to know.
Last one for me. Again, you mentioned Crawfish Cafe has a bunch of locations. Nobody has more locations than BB's Tex Orleans. Brooks Bassler, UH alum. Shout out to U of H. He's built this business to now, I think, more than 10 locations all over the city. And, for red beans and rice, for shrimp etouffee, for boiled crawfish, especially boiled crawfish. I know they're going to fire that up beginning January 20th. So, if you're off for MLK Day, you can go to BB's and you can get crawfish, and it's a pretty good way to celebrate a day off in Houston.
BB's is like one of those restaurants you called old reliable. They're open whenever you need them.
This is Abbas Thanani. You can follow me on Instagram at Houston Eats with a Z.
I'm David Leftwich, editor of Edible Houston and associate editor at Houston Food Finder.
I'm Eric Sandler, editor for Culture Map, and you're listening to Houston Matters with Craig Cohen.